And we are live. Just kidding. I beat you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Jonathan and Trevor with Hitsquad-Defense. Today we're joined by UFC coach Rick Little. How are we doing today, Rick?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm figuring out the Zoom stuff. It's not my expertise. I'm a big Facebook
Hey,
Messenger guy, I guess. That's about the extent of my of me doing this kind of stuff and being good at it. So we'll see how it goes.
we look good on our end, so
Yeah. I was gonna
sorry,
ask
what
you
was that?
guys real quick before we get started. You guys are bros, right?
Yes.
That's cool. I think I knew that, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, both train, both fight, try to do as much as we can together.
Yeah. That's the way to do it. If you got a good partner in this stuff, I mean, I'm gonna sell myself out, but they're good partners are more important than good coaches, in my opinion. If you have a good, reliable partner, it's virtually more important. So that's good. You guys are probably making each other much better.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanna kind of know your story a little bit, where it started off and how it's grown throughout the years. So take us back to the beginning. How did you get into martial arts?
Um, you know, the good old fashioned way. I had VHS tapes, the Blockbuster I'd rent, and I saw good old Hoist on the VHS, and it just blew me away because me and my friends were making fun of him because we liked the movies and big old scary Samoan looking guys and dudes with ponytails that looked like Goro from Mortal Kombat. We thought would be and then this guy comes along and does what he does, and everybody knows the story of Hoist Gracie. So I just was active about it. I got in my car and drove to California and went and found him, started training with him.
Really? So did you get to train out of the garage like back in the
Yeah, they
90s?
they weren't in the garage at the time by the time I came, he was already like a two-time champ, and they had a big
Oh,
academy in Torrance, and so I showed up on their a nice facility. It was nice though, and it was amazing because Horian was still there. Hoyler was in and out of there, and his dad Elio was still teaching. It was crazy. He was on the mat still. It was an amazing time, and I've come to realize that's why I've become a pretty decent coach is because it took me about this long to realize voice was the real deal. I got all my friends skeptical, oh this and that, or I would hit him here, I'd beat him there. Mike Tyson would beat him, all that kind of crap. And I knew right away, no, this is it. And so I went, and I've still had that same eye. I feel like I know what's bullshit and not bullshit instantaneously, and we don't waste time. And I think that's a secret of my gym. You won't find a fighter in there waste a single second of his training on something stupid. And every gym I've been to, virtually, I won't say every, almost every gym you're in, they just randomly teach curriculum that doesn't apply usually. It might be a cool thing to know, but it reminds me of school and high school and when we growing up. Like, why am I learning all these weird math equations and stuff? You know what I mean? If that's not my thing, I should have learned how to do my taxes in school and stuff like that. And that's what we do in my gym. We learn how to do our taxes. We don't learn any bullshit. And people perfect the beyond basics. We're a little past the basics, so we perfect the beyond basics. And my no BS meter has always been great from from a young kid, from when I've had shitty, horrible coaches growing up, horrible coaches. And, they're just talking to talk a lot of times. You can make the best catch in football, and they tell you your thumbs were pointed a little bit the wrong direction. Just dumb stuff like that, just overcoaching. And from young, my BS meter has always been really good. And so when you watch my guys compete, you'll know there's no BS. You're going to be in a fight, win or lose. Uh, I'm very proud of one stat. You will Anybody that's trained in my gym, you will never see any of them, and you won't find a fight where they just got blown the fuck out. Never happened. Never happened. Julianna Peña had an off night against Amanda Nunes, still fucking went 25 minutes and almost armbarred her in round 4. You know what I mean? Amanda Nunes showed up in crutches. Like, you're gonna be in a fight. You're gonna have to have something great happen to make us look bad. And, we're human, so that could happen. We're not going to give you a fight. And I'm very proud of my gym in that aspect. Anybody that fights any of our guys did know that. If they don't know that, they'll know that. Even when they won the fight, they'll know that if they beat us. There was
No
a lot
BS.
right there. There was a lot right there. So
There was a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Let's break that down a little bit. So, learning from some of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners, did you come up with your own curriculum for your students, or have you built it over
100%,
time?
100%. I hate saying this. No BS meter went off. A lot of jujitsu is great. A lot of jujitsu is not great. I mean, it might be great for jujitsu, but for what I thought I needed to be applied for, there's not all of it's going to work, and that's how it is with every martial art. And the diehards of their particular art don't like that, hearing that. Like, I'll have a wrestling coach come in there and go, I love this, I love that, I don't love this, and this. They're like, well, that's wrestling. Like, well, that's not, the rest of that's not going to work. Then they're like, well, I think it will, and that's where we have differences. I don't, and I want to just take this part of the wrestling. You know what I mean? Taekwondo, karate, I love those striking arts. And joined here by Killer Miller. He's sitting next to me. So look here. Oh, getting ready for her fight. So, Taekwondo, all those arts, they have something of value, but you can't just sit there and bank all Taekwondo. I think you're going to run the UFC. You know what I mean? And you might have to steal some other striking arts, even though that's your primary striking art. If that makes sense. So, um, even though jiu-jitsu was my beginning, I came back to Spokane, and I wanted to show all my friends, and I would roll them all up because they didn't know what it was. And then I had problems with my wrestler friends. I used to think wrestling was silly, and I had some big problems with them, and it made me want to learn wrestling right away, because Boyce and them taught us to conserve energy and to be, to know where to rest and not rest. And that was valuable because I burn energy, but wrestling also teaches you how to get on the gas, and it's up to you to figure out how much to use of each art. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys know that, how actively you train, that there's certain guys you go with, you ain't gonna just lay on your back and win. You gotta get going, and so jiu-jitsu was valuable in the beginning, but again, the brick BS meter goes off all the time, and I came up with my own style of everything that I've seen. And I was like, I believe this is the best style, and I'm constantly proving it. So, I have fighters that, they don't fight necessarily all the same. I just take what I think is the best that they have, and, enhance it and what they're bad at. And maybe some fighters in my gym, for example, are not allowed to kick, you know, and for two reasons. Sometimes it's because they can't, they're bad at it, or their hands are so good and their wrestling's so good, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje kicks all the time in his fights, and it's the biggest waste of time I've ever seen in my life. It really is. He does. It never helps him. It hurts him. He goes off balance. He gets counter punched. It never helps him. So it's everybody. Someone will see this interview and go, "Show me a clip of Gaethje doing a good kick," and then I'll turn around and show him 5 clips of him getting socked off of a kick or taken down with Khabib or something. You know what I mean? So. Um, yeah, I mean, but back to that, it's. I love jujitsu. That's my start, but it was just the start.
Well, like, so you've been in jiu-jitsu for a long time. You've been into that like that coaching realm. But what was the turning point that made you want to go that coaching route? Like, what made you want to be that like that coach and that like figure of
Good
like
question.
people figure that people look up to you? When was that, and what was the thing that turned you to that?
Good question. That's going to be the theme of what you're hearing today from me. Obviously, we're off on that tangent right now. The BS meter again, because everybody's doing all sorts of stuff. I'm young. Everybody's learning, but would have friends and stuff, and we would try to book fights, and we don't know who to talk to, and we'd take these fights, and the bottom line is my BS meter was just higher than others. So I'd be like, no, we shouldn't fight here. We shouldn't do this. I ended up just coaching because I would be the one that would speak up and be like, oh, I don't like doing this. And I think we're doing too many arm bars. We should do more wrestling today. And, and I'd just be a group of guys and it would always go Rick's way. You know what I mean? And not because I was a baby, because I'd end up being right, and so you just kind of end up coaching. You know what I mean? You end up training with guys, and then somehow they start tapping you on the shoulder and asking you questions instead of you asking them questions. But make no mistake, my wrestler friends, I tapped them on the shoulder a lot. I had a lot of upstart young guys that taught me a lot, and they could have very well coached too. They just didn't go that route. But I just feel like I got tapped on the shoulder a lot. That's just when you just magically become a coach.
I like that. What like now that you've been in the coaching realm, you've been in martial arts a long time. What is like your favorite part about coaching? Like what do you love the most about being a coach nowadays?
Question. I mean, the whole thing is awesome. So, um, there's so much. There's so many answers to that question. It's a great question. I would say it's so simple though. I mean, I could go into stories of improvement and stuff, but winning. I mean, that's the answer. I believe everybody can win. I really do. I believe if you walk into my gym and you dedicate yourself, that you can win. Whatever fight I put you in, that we as a team agree to take, that you can win. So winning, it's just that simple. It doesn't matter how you get it done. It doesn't matter if you listened to me, didn't listen to you, if you did everything wrong or right. It's finding a way to win. That's the most satisfying part. And what's even more satisfying is I hope it happens without any of my help. I've had so many fights in the corner where I haven't said a word, and we've won. So many fights like that. And and so it's just the end result. It's winning, and then you go backwards. After you win, then you go backwards and go, wow. I remember when this kid was 16 years old and he just won on Contender. You know what I remember? Or I remember when this girl was whatever and now she's won her first amateur fight. She couldn't even walk straight, or someone like Peña, who I saw from the window of my gym, walk in and look at the sign. And we used to walk by the gym all the time. She lived right by the gym. She had a cig in her mouth, threw her cigarette down and walked in. And she was about 200 pounds and obese. And she walks in the gym and is like, what's this? And that's how she started. And those flash back to me when we sit there with UFC titles. And it's weird because I'll live in the moment, and I'll also remember some weird moments like that. Like this was a knock-kneed fat girl who smelled like cigarettes. So, but it's a quick answer, winning. People are going to talk about journey and all that stuff, but you don't remember a lot of the journeys if you don't win. You got to win.
Wow. And it's crazy to see that you don't have a whole facility like American Top Team or all these other places, and you're still getting these people to win.
Yeah,
You just get people in the door, and it's like you have that thing that people want to come learn.
we're with our theme right there, the no BS. What do they got there? A bigger cage. They got extra heavy bags that you can punch that don't punch back. You know what I mean? They got a little nicer mats that don't have, stains in them. Is that going to change the outcome of a fight? It's the no BS again, the no BS meter. It doesn't matter. So why have it? You know what I mean? And they have gyms like that to attract people that are frankly gym jumpers and want to leave around and look for the next best thing or whatever. That's what that is. And
Mhm.
it's just enticing. It's like a nice grocery store or something that's prettier or whatever. You know where my groceries come from? From the guy on the street that picked the fruit right on the sidewalk and he's on the street. Buy that fruit. It's just as good as buying it in a pretty grocery store. It's just as good. Trust me. But People don't do that, do they? But I attract the people who pull around the corner by that. So, all that stuff doesn't matter. The size of the gym, you guys know that. You guys have gotten good off doing your own thing, the brotherly thing, and honestly, if you guys separated and went to some big place and came back, I doubt that you'd be better than you are now. You know what I mean? Working together, keeping your minds connected, figuring stuff out together, it wouldn't happen. So, and it's sad for me to see something like that where you guys flourish and then you guys would end up somewhere like that ATP, because I don't think it would help you. Matter of fact, we'd come after you. I love fighting those guys. You'd be on our hit list.
Yeah, I know our coach tells us a lot, and same thing with what you're saying is like some of the greatest fighters are the people that have a small knit crew, basically, that can just pick each other apart. You don't need the big flashy things, just like you're saying. As long as you have a good small crew, and you can figure out how to make things work and go around them. Like we've always been taught, like if you're trying a move and it's not working, we'll keep trying it, because like just make it work. And if you can do it on someone that knows you and your game, and you can still do the movement as they know that you're about to do it, then you know you're getting a really good at that, like refining that skill. So I agree with you on this fact of there's no need for the big flashy stuff. Like it looks cool, feels cool, but like you said, the groceries are the same. So if you have a good crew at home, that's where you need to stay. And if you stay with them long enough, you could take it anywhere.
That's right. I mean, even if someone doesn't believe me and they want to argue, come walk, excuse my language, come walk in the fucking gym and get out. See what my guys need to work on. Come on in. See what we're missing at these other big gyms. I don't care who wants to walk in there. I'm being dead serious. Ronda Rousey walk in our gym, she get her ass kicked by her two girls. Period. 100% happens. So, I mean, walk in here, walk in the gym and find out like what we need to work on. It's all that is, it reminds me of the Gracie Challenge days. I used to love that Hoist used to do that. People would walk in there. I'd seen a challenge before. It's crazy. They would fist fight and be like, show us why our jiu-jitsu doesn't work. And it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And I'm, like I said, I sounded like I was downplaying jiu-jitsu a little earlier. Let me tell you something, though. The best fighter to ever live, I really believe, is a jiu-jitsu fighter, and it's Hoist. But make no mistake, it wasn't just jiu-jitsu with that guy. That dude was nuts. I had to kill him. He was a freak of nature. He could fight, dude. Like I can't explain. There's little things you feel that man does, extra on the grip, extra. It's just it felt like he wanted to kill you in there, and it didn't just feel flowy. He was the greatest, because that era, there was many times to beat him, many tournaments to beat him injured, and he didn't lose. So he's the best. Close second, Fedor.
Those are great choices. we
Those are
haven't
facts.
gotten
Again, I don't care. I wish I could be like what I'm saying now. Come get it. People could go prove me wrong in Prime Fedor and Prime Hoist. They wouldn't be able to. They would walk into Russia and get smoked by Fedor, and they'd walk into the Gracie Academy and get smoked by Hoist, and I would guarantee you that would have happened in those eras. So I'm right on that. Again, BS meter. Trust me, I'm right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. We got to train with Hoist a couple times in the past couple of years at some seminars, and like you're saying, like the way he could flow, but with intention. Like it wasn't like oh, this is a self-defense, like something another. It's
You
like
were
no, he's
lucky.
doing.
Watch him in a challenge match. Watch someone walk in there and challenge his family. The guy's a fucking wild animal. You'll fucking die in that room with him. I'm just telling you, he will kill you. So you'll see another side you can't believe. You know what I mean? And they said Hickson was way better, so that just freaks me out. You know what I mean? Hickson would close the door and not let you film and all that stuff, and it's just like you got a lot of nerve going in there and challenge those guys in their house. You know what I mean? And you got the nice version of them. You know what I mean? And so did I, but the challenge match is where it's at.
I couldn't imagine going in the room and just standing across from Hickson or Hoist or any of them, honestly, and be like, all right, that would be awful. an
Oh,
awful
yeah.
way to spend that day.
Go look up the old challenge matches. They're all over YouTube. They're just a great
Oh
thing
yeah,
to
we
watch, man. The knuckles
yep,
flying, bare knuckle. Yeah, that was.
we've seen them.
They were not, dude. They were brutal. Like they're lucky people didn't die. Like you just tap. They don't
Seriously.
have to let go. There's no ref. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like you disrespected our name and whatever. It's just like our family. I can't. You're risking death in there. I'm telling you. So those are the. He's one of the greatest of all time, no doubt about it. But people saw the flowiness of Hoist, and they all wanted to do that, and they didn't realize what a raw fighter he was. Like he was as mean as Nick Diaz raw. He was that raw.
So we're gonna rewind a little bit. You were talking about people walking to the gym and wanting to try. You have a lot of seasoned fighters and also new students. What is something that you see people get wrong when they first start off into martial arts?
Yes, no wonder why you guys have podcasts. These are great questions. They're great questions. What do I see wrong? Nothing. I see. You know what I see wrong is I see wrong when people walk in the wrong place. They gotta go somewhere that fits their style. I mean, they got to. I mean, it's you're gonna if you're listen to this. You could be the greatest student in the world, but if you go into the wrong place, what's that gonna do for you? What are you learning? A bunch of great bullshit. You know what I mean? You could be the greatest fighter in the world. And you have the poorest management. You fight the worst fights up weight classes against people that are more experienced than you, and you lose. So frankly, what goes wrong is where people walk in. They walk in the wrong doors. You know what I mean? People, and I don't care how cocky this sounds. You commit and walk in my door, you're gonna make it. Shown it time and time again. So into the teens, we put into the teens of people in the UFC. No one out there is even putting anybody in, and we're putting it in the teens. So what you do wrong is, and what you do right is you walk in my door. Brady was training. He stand, and I don't know what happened at his old place, but he walked in my door, and that's what he did right. Because look where he's at, and he's one of the few guys I've ever turned good. Because usually when you're in a system, you're just going to be in that system and ingrained in you. Or I'd almost rather have people from scratch. You know what I mean? So I've had a lot of good guys walk in the door, but they've always been trained. So they're like, what should I do? What should I do to make it to the next level? And I'm like, rewind time and walk in the right door. But, that's the truth. And just like fights, some people are 2-7 pros, and they could have been 7-2 if they rewound time and took the right fights. So it's this the choice weird. You have to be lucky. You know what I mean? Like Chiesa would skateboard by the gym. Peña would walk by the gym with her cig. They walked in the door. I don't care how bad this sounds. If they didn't walk in the door and they walked in another door, I don't know what would happen. I really don't. So I don't want to say that they wouldn't have made it, but man, I know there's another guy in Spokane, Bart. His name was Bart Smith or whatever. Terrible. So who knows what would have happened? Walked in that guy, and he was reputable. I mean, he had the black belt and in a YouTube video of him getting knocked out, but saying he won. You got to go look that up. By the way, there's a YouTube video of him losing and then posting that he won on SureDog or whatever. But that could have been his guy. But he was a legitimate black belt, I guess. And when I started, I was a legitimate nothing. I got blue belted with Hoist, and I had my friends teach me wrestling. That was my credentials. So I can understand if they walked in the other gym, but it would have been the wrong choice.
Wow, that's crazy. Just wrestling blue belt and to go all the way to that championship level and multiple other fighters at the top
And I
level.
still am. My level of wrestling is probably mid, low level high school. So a state champ would probably just smoke me, a high schooler state champ, and my grappling level is probably blue belt still. I didn't done anything to get belted past that. So my striking credentials is athleticism and coordination. I try to teach people that and have their own striking. So I don't have any credentials there. So my credentials are that much. All I go off of is the BS meter. You guys got to
Crazy.
get one of those. But
Yeah.
get a BS meter next to Ulti Man over there.
Yeah, we'll put them up.
Yeah, and when people talk dumb shit on here, that make that meter go up. So what the hell are you talking about, dude? I know you're supposed to be nice
Is
on the podcast, but if they hit the BS meter, you got to say, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Sure. Is there any want or anything in you that wants to progress in those belts or ranking, or are you like content? Are you confident in where you are now, or do you feel like you would want to rank up in the future?
Again, because those are things that validate, that say, okay, I did this, I did that. I'm living through my fighters, validating myself through my fighters, and I would want to do that if my guys are getting whipped and I feel like we have big holes somewhere. But it seems like every magical black belt that's come to save the day because Chiesa got subbed once or something happened or Peña got armbarred, that that we get calls by the magical black belts that could just fix their whole. That no, you gotta go back to work, and it's just. Yeah, I'll get a call. Super striker guy said, "Oh, your guy's hands down was a little bit down on his jab." You know, the best answer. You get to pick the BS meter up and say, "Well, go in there and show him how it's done." You know what I mean? So, um, you know, uh, it's I have zero desire for that because when you have stuff like that, it makes people go, "Oh, I gotta listen to this guy." You know what I mean? He has a black belt on, or he has a Taekwondo trophy, or whatever reason. And maybe you should because they have those trophies. But here's my truth: if you don't know to come in my gym and want to listen to me, then fine. Go go do the MMA thing without it and see where it gets you. I have proven it right time and time again. You come into this gym, you go as far as you could possibly go, and it can be all the way to the top. So I don't need that for people to believe me. You know what I mean? So they can walk in there and go, "What's your belt?" And I'll say blue. It was a blue belt when I was 19, 30, 40, 30, 40 years ago. It feels like blue belt. And then they'll go, "Oh, that's it." And then I can just point, I like this belt better though, the gold belt, the UFC belt that sits in my gym. So
That will shut
I
them
don't
up.
need that. I really don't. I don't need. It's a good thing to have, but it's just what it is. It's something to have, but does it help my guys? I don't think so. If it did, I'd do it. If it did, I'd do it. But it
Yeah.
doesn't.
I mean, oh, go ahead.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it is like you are proving it time and time again. I mean, Miller has a fight coming up in August, and we've been watching The Ultimate Fighter. It's fun to watch Melissa on there, and it's crazy that they're not just one-dimensional fighters. That we get to see that it's jiu-jitsu, striking, it's all of it.
That's what I'm saying. I got this. I still have the screenshot of Melissa messaging me on Facebook when she moved to Spokane. She never thrown a punch or anything before, and she did her first anything here. And what you see is a product of someone who just committed from the get. Didn't ask questions. What's your ranking? What's it? She just walked in there, knew it was the place she needed to be, and look where she's at. It's just so simple. It's unbelievable. It just made her decision, and that was that. The only mess up in that, I actually messed that up a little bit, is she was like a little bunny rabbit in the beginning. She was harmless, and I never thought she could be a fighter. I truly did. But when we started getting, sometimes you got to teach intensity. Sometimes you got to teach wanting to bite someone in there or something. And we started gearing her mind that way. I feel like she can be as mean as anybody. So that's scary when you have that kind of skill and coordination and a little bit of meanness.
Yeah. When we were talking to Melissa, she told us something interesting, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. Were you gonna ask that
I was
same?
about to
Yeah.
ask.
She told us that you said for her to skip amateur and go straight to pro, and we were baffled by that. We're like, I've never heard that, and I want to hear your thoughts on why that was your decision.
Yes, meter. She she went through the B. She cut through the BS in my gym. She did all the programs, everything that we do to require yourself to be pro. She got in a fight with Peña. Peña tried to kill her. People don't know this, but Peña tried to kill her one night in practice. And Peña doesn't like other girls for no reason. She'll try to beat you out of the gym. And she survived the Peña test. Peña did not make her quit, didn't make her tap, didn't do anything. So when I saw that, I was like, you can compete. You will never find an amateur put more pressure on you than Peña put on her that. And I don't think you'll find a mid-level pro that will. So you're fighting. And she's like, okay. I didn't even know she wanted to fight. I usually make people ask me. I told her she's fighting. And I said, you're fighting pro, which kind of baffled her. And I said, you'll see. Peña's, in my opinion, the toughest girl on the planet. And watching you survive that onslaught is, you're a pro. So why do what everyone else is doing? Well, Rick, shouldn't you have 4 amateur fights and maybe 1 finish and 2 subs and 1 K? Get to it. I told you this from the beginning. We don't fucking waste time in there. We don't waste time in there. You leave that gym, the day you work something in that gym, you'll probably hit that move, that sequence on somebody by the end of practice. Live. We don't work some silly shit that's going to take you a year to learn and hope you can apply it when someone's trying to kill you in a street fight. We don't do that. So, no BS meter passed quick from her. And so why did I do it that way? No one's ever done that. No one's ever just turned someone straight pro. We did it. Not because I wanted to be the first or anything, because there was no need. Despite everybody going, are you sure? You sure? Do it my way. Always done it my way. The blue belt way. Still a blue belt.
Yeah,
So
I
I
mean
do it that way.
her record speaks for itself. Like it shows you didn't need to do the amateur. She clearly
Yeah.
has been listening and working hard.
Maybe I'll get a bunch of jackasses from a bunch of dumb gyms do that with their guys, try to turn them pro. They can find my pros. They'll go, let's all do that. Have all these coaches do that and whatever they're teaching, and we'll see if they can pull off the same stuff. But that's one of the biggest mistakes ever. A lot of these guys go amateur way too long. That's a fact, too. They're amateur way too long. So,
How long do you think is too long? Like what would that look like? Or
I don't
does
know.
it
You
depend
just
on the
have to know
person?
your athletes. You have to know your athletes. It's really, that's a great question. Old Julianna here, she went amateur way too fucking long, dude. She was like 8-0. And a lot of these girls are future or potential pros that if they did it right and made them fight each other pro, she would be probably like 12-2 or 3 right now. 12-1, 12-2. But they had her fight like scare off every girl on the planet and had her 8-0 amateur. You know what I mean? And then she got right into the fucking trenches in the pro that way, being at that high level of an amateur. You know what I mean? So the girl was at 2-1 and got in the UFC. That's tough. She had to grow up in that. So she should have had, her record should have been higher. Those shouldn't all been amateur fights. But we can't go either way. She was in a great system. She learned how she can fight. So wherever she was before, they were good. Because she was still winning fights. That to me is an example of maybe a little bit too long.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on the person and their skill level, but that's a good answer. It's
Oh, there is no answer. That's what I'm
interesting.
saying. It's the same. Asking that question is honest to goodness like asking, what should we work on today to win my fight? Like A lot of things. You know what I mean? What's one technique we should learn for a fist fight? You know, you could be like, maybe a double leg, no, maybe a rear naked, maybe a single, maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe an overhand right. Like there's a million answers. So there is no answer. You know what I mean? You just have to be with someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. That's what you have to be with. So, and I pray for people they do. There's a lot of guys that would have made it to the NFL. Shitty coaches, shitty program, NBA, hockey. It doesn't. I guarantee you, there's so many stories out there where guys were like, "Man, if I was in this system, you know what I mean, or in this country, or this state, it could have made a difference." So, you know, like what perturbs me a little about MMA is I'm very open. I've never said no to anybody. So anybody who's walked in, it's not been impossible to walk in. You know, so it's not like we're Gonzaga basketball. You can pretty much get in the NBA through Gonzaga basketball because they're the best. You're just not going to get in Gonzaga basketball. You can get in Jiu-Jitsu. Rick will give you a shot. You know what I mean? So there is an avenue through me, and it's been proven time again. And you know, I'll get people to walk in there. I want to try here. I'm going to try your place, and I'll try that place. Don't bother. I don't need that person. You know what I mean? I need someone like Melissa, who's like, I've moved to Spokane. This is where I'm going. You know, and then the results are speaking.
Now, this kind of random question, but outside of martial arts coaching, do you have any other hobbies that you like to mess around with, work on, or anything?
You
Or is
know,
this kind of like your?
it's
I mean, I know
crazy.
it's your passion.
I like LARPing.
Oh yeah?
No,
I'm like, I
Really?
didn't
I'm just
expect
kidding.
that.
I expect that.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I wish that was the truth. You know, it's as we got so many damn good athletes in the gym. I mean, I hate naming names because you forget something right off the top. Julianna Miller, Jaden Ortega, you know, Chiesa, Melissa, Brady. I could boom. Someone's gonna be like, oh, they forgot to mention me, Alvin. Not that I forget. We're just moving on. You guys know who you are, and I love all my A team guys. They know who they are. They know that. You can tell if I don't like you. I really don't even know the names of some people in there. So I know your name. You know I like you. So don't take that wrong. But that's my hobby. I just can't. There's nothing else to do. You know, like if you got all these guys trying to get better, you know, you schedule them at different times in the day. What time do you have for a hobby? And honestly, my hobby is winning. You get addicted to it. So it is going out and catching a fish exciting to me, not as much as watching one of my guys win. You know what I mean? Is going to the Disneyland, riding some rides fun? Yeah. But is it as fun as winning? No. So that's the hobby. You know what I mean? It's so boring. You know, it's like it's a great question because people have other sides to them. There is no other side. And as you get older, you guys will see that. It's almost like your hobbies decrease. You're just laser focused on whatever career you choose. You know what I mean? And you're so focused, you get like a week vacation to go to the Mexico and drink a little, but in reality, it's probably still in the back of your mind, your work, and then you're right back to it. You know, so there is no hobbies, and people that are successful, it'd be really hard to have other hobbies. You know what I mean? It would be really hard. I don't know how they do it if they do, you know, but you won't see me with any hobbies but this shit till I die. Which
Yeah, I
sucks.
love it.
Yeah.
You went back to that first answer, which was the winning. Like, what's your favorite part about coaching? It was winning. So it's good that you're tying that back in. It all comes down to that. And on that winning topic, how important was it, or how special was it to watch Chiesa win his retirement fight in Seattle?
Well, that was as big as the championship belt because he had a storied career. He came, if you could have seen what a little nerd he used to see how amazing he became to be a leader of the company and for the UFC to treat him like that, to know that this is possible, that as a violent, brutal sport as this is, they took care of him. They they took very good care of him. They made a video package for him. They did it in his city. They promoted him all the time in his city. To know that you could actually get a fairy tale like that is incredible. It made me feel good too, because I've been steering his career from, again, the moment he walked in, a little skinny, shaggy nerd. And to pick his fights and to be like, let's do this, let's be on this show, let's try out for the Ultimate, let's do this, let's fight this guy, let's not fight this guy. And to get to that point makes you feel like you did something right too. You know what I mean? So I'm happy for Chiesa. I'm happy for our whole team, because it showed everybody that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and just the sport doesn't just knock you the fuck out, tell you to go home, and that's your last fight, buddy. Go fix your broken nose or whatever. It ended up as good as a career could end up. I'm sure you guys saw it. You guys are probably, as you guys are aspiring fighters, man, that would be nice. Have a long career, end in Seattle and Washington State with the whole crowd screaming your name. That's the ultimate ending, and I'm glad I'm part of it. I've just seen such amazing shit in this sport, from that to Peña having one of the biggest upsets in history, to us winning Ultimate Fighter is going to be 5 times. Like, there's been, and I was even there when on the bus when Khabib and McGregor fought, and it's just they used my video when I was filming Khabib beating up Artem. Like, there's been a lot of these crazy moments in the UFC, and it's crazy. And the COVID, I was one of the first COVID people on the island. It was just stuff. It's been a crazy ride, and it's a ride that's worth it, because I care about my athletes. And if it wasn't worth it, I'd be the first to tell them with a no BS meter, go do something else. You don't want to be here. Like, this gets ugly. But it doesn't get ugly for us. We've had a lot of great endings and a lot of great things and a lot of great careers, sprouted from here. So,
Yeah. I mean, it was truly epic to see Chiesa when we were there in person, and it was
Oh, you were
electric.
there.
It was
So you
awesome.
felt
Yeah.
that energy. People, it's hard to describe. You felt that place. Imagine being in the middle of it all. This place shaped like a bowl, and it's just hitting you. You know what I mean? So whatever you felt there, times that by 100 in there. And we would have felt almost all the energy, but fat Daniel Cormier was blocking a lot of it. He's like a satellite. So otherwise we would have felt all the energy. But no, I'm just kidding on that one. But I like DC. But that, you guys know. That's my point. You were there. That moment probably made you say, I want to keep doing this shit. If that didn't do that, then something's wrong with you. That means you're not, you don't want to fight.
Yeah, I mean, to go out on a winning streak, hometown, his mom, his wife, like everything it was a fairy tale, like everybody was talking about. So that was epic to see.
Yep. His best friends, Sam, Austin, he brings them to corner. That's the corner. I don't like, again, no BS. Why do you need a bunch of coaches? You got me, and then you got your homies. You don't have
Mhm.
assistant coach for this and this guy doing the mitts and this guy doing that. We keep it simple, and it was the same group his whole career. And we wrote it together all the way to Fight Island, to there, to everywhere. So, to the McGregor bus incident where he got hit in the head. He's in the hospital. We're in the hospital with him. We're on the ride together. And Chiesa's great. He should teach everybody out there, bring the people that help you get there. You get bigger and bigger, you meet cooler and cooler people. Fuck those guys, keep the people that got you. Simple.
I I agree
Simple.
with that.
No
Yeah.
BS. No fluff.
So you were talking about Fight Island, the bus incident. You've been in the game a long time. What is one of your craziest stories through this whole career?
Oh, what was the question? Crazy what?
What was one of your craziest stories?
I'll take, everybody knows the bus incident and stuff. That I got a good one. Jessica, I was like mad at Chiesa for something. We're on a team bus thing, and she said something to her, and then she's just psychotic and just punched him right in the head. And Peña was in there too, and she's a teammate, so she started ragtagging this guy in the bus. She's like, "Oh hell no!" And then she started scrapping. So there was only like 6 or 7 of us in there, in the big black shuttle van. They're just Juliana's just wailing off on her, and that was crazy because they ended up fighting later. You know, that was crazy. It wasn't like UFC didn't even use that for promo, but um, that's that's a pretty good example. I know I have a lot of good ones like that. They're not coming off the top of my head. I mean, it's just some random stuff, like some crazy stuff. But we were there, since 2012. I mean, the UFC is pretty much in its infancy. Another good story is Mike was fighting for Ultimate Fighter finale, and they didn't really have women yet, and we had Juliana Peña jump the fence and go up to Dana, say, "I'm going to be next. You're going to know me," and all that. And the security tried to grab her and throw her out, and he liked her, and he let her stay, and she ended up sitting there the whole time with him and watching the finale just by illegally hopping the barricade before she was
Really? Wow.
anybody, when she was just an amateur. So, we have a lot of good stories like that. We had to take a plane. UFC once moved a show from Vegas to California in 2 days. And so they just
Wow.
rented a plane and shipped us off there, and we were just winging it, threw us into California, and because John Jones busted for roids, so they moved that
Oh,
they moved the card. So yeah, there's a lot. If I really think about it, I could come up with some. I don't know why those are what pinged on the top of my head, but here's a good one. I wanted my team to watch perfection. I believe it's all equal, whether it's dancing, golfing. If you watch the best of the best, it's motivating. And I took them to the Jabberwockies. And I bought front row tickets for Peña, Chiesa, Cecilia, and everybody. And no one wanted to go. They're like, "Who?" And I go, "These guys have been together since they're kids. They're the best of the best, you know?"
hmm
And so we went front row, and they recognized us all. They were MMA fans. So they were like signaling to us while they were performing, and then after the show, they came up to us, and then we've been friends with them ever since. I've been friends with one of the main guys, Fee, ever since. We still communicate. They're still just blow me away.
really,
Yeah, they're incredible. They are the best of the best, and their movements and coordination remind me of fighting stuff that we learn in the gym. I've been trying to get them to train more because I feel like they could fight, they could learn because they move so well. You know, you can move properly and be a good fighter like GSP and not actually be a fighter. I don't even consider him a fighter, but the guy is just so coordinated and athletic. He can just you know,
Um,
put the shades on for this.
what's okay now? Talking to the people that are hopefully going to be watching this, what's what's your message to them right now? They watch this, they're getting motivated. What's one thing that you can give to them to take away from this at the very end?
That's a great question. You guys are good at this. I love that question. If you're getting better and you know you're getting better and you feel you're getting better, stay with those guys and those coaches. Stay with them because you're getting better. If you're not, don't be scared to be selfish and make the fucking move. You know what I mean? And go do what, if you feel like you're hitting these blocks. And that's important to recognize that because good students, it's so sometimes bad to be a good student because you're so loyal and so good that you will never leave something, and maybe you should, even though that's technically a bad trait to leave. But you also have to have the BS meter to know that there's too much BS going on here and I need to get going. So there's a happy medium of being a great student and believing in your coach and your place you're at. But maybe that's bad that you walked in that door. Maybe, you're believing in something that's just not going to get you anywhere. So, it's kind of a trick. What I'm saying is that you got to stick with the people that got you there, but you got to also have your BS meter up, you know? So, and part two, we got the best gym. one of the best gyms on the planet. I really believe that. And people are welcome to come. They're welcome to walk in that gym. Sometimes people think they can't or whatever, or they don't want to because whatever stupid reason they have. But they call me, get a hold of me, and they want a shot, I'll give them a shot. Or they just want to train with the guys, they can do that. But I came from just jumping into this with no accolades. So I'm one of the few people that don't need accolades or anything when someone comes to me. So I'm more open than people might think. I don't know what they say out there. People have a lot of negative stuff, which it's amusing to me. You know what I mean? It really is. I hear it all the time, and everybody's like, "That doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me." Definitely doesn't bother me because I'm getting shit done. So they can complain about whatever. They can make fun of whatever losses happen. I'm getting shit done. So stick with your team. If it's not working, you might want to call someone like me up. That's the answer. That's the final answer.
All right. It's a great final answer. Well, thank you, Rick, so much for your
Thank you.
time. We appreciate it and all your insights. That was a great time.
Fun
Yep.
hour. Fun
And
hour.
last but not least, I got to plug my people. Brady Bam Bam's coming back. He's the best fighter in the world at his weight class. Be ready for him. Be ready for his comeback. Everybody forgot about him. Don't forget about that guy.
All right, we got Brady and we got Miller coming up. We're looking forward to it.
Yep, August 8th, Julianna Miller. That's next. You'll see us on the winning side.
On the winning side.
Doing my
All right.
hobby. That'll be my hobby.
Winning's your hobby.
Yeah. So, yep, thanks for your time, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Have a good one.